Hey guys, this is your host Rabbit, and welcome to another Conquest of Azeroth 1-30 class showcase, featuring the Witch Hunter. The Witch Hunter is a ranged damage dealer that uses leather armor and wields dual crossbows. They're highly mobile, trained in dark magic, and they use rage and mana as resources. Witch Hunters are stoic and dignified monster hunters that wield dual crossbows in battle, as well as dark magics which come at a price. Preferring to stay alone, Witch Hunters possess a set of skills that allow them to deal with foes without the help of a group very efficiently, through their unmatched mobility and control. Witch Hunters build up rage with their crossbow shots, which can be used to fuel their more insidious dark magics. Witch Hunter is a class I've been really wanting to try. I've seen a lot of people say great things about it, so I'm excited to get in and cover this 1-30. So, thanks for watching, stick around, and let's get this knocked out. Alright guys, here we are in game. We're going to quickly go over the level 1 abilities that we get as a Witch Hunter. Starting off, we have Coiling Shot. It's an instant shot that deals normalized weapon damage, generates 10 rage, and increases your dodge chance by 10% for 2 seconds. We also get Weapon Swap. Switch between your dual crossbows and your Blazing Blade. With crossbows equipped, you deal additional damage and gain access to Bolt Slinger abilities, but are restricted from all melee attacks. While Blazing Blade is equipped, gain access to Inquisitor abilities. We also have Saber Slash. It's an instant cast, slashes an enemy for normalized weapon damage, and generates 20 rage. This is going to be your spammable melee ability. And lastly, we get Slayer's Mark. You mark an enemy, causing you to fire a crossbow bolt at them for 7 to 10 physical damage every 3 seconds for 1 minute. You will only fire bolts while facing your target and at least 5 yards away from them. While marked, your critical strike chance with physical attacks against the target is increased by 10%. Only one target can be marked at a time. One thing to know as the Witch Hunter is if you're in ranged, your crossbows actually count as daggers. They don't count as ranged weapons. So if you right click a mob, you're not going to start using your auto shot like other classes would. And that's where Slayer's Mark comes in. When you apply it to a target, that allows you to do these ranged attacks that you normally wouldn't be able to do until they get into melee, and then you use your crossbow daggers to hit them in melee range. So the Witch Hunter definitely has one of the most unique level 1 toolkits that I've seen. Given the fact that it's a ranged class and it doesn't have an auto shot, and the ability to attack from range is actually based on a buff that you apply to your target, and then having to manually swap between your melee and your ranged abilities. Like typically in other classes like the Ranger, this is all automatic, whereas as the Witch Hunter, you're having to go in and do all this manually. Alright, that wraps up my level 1 impressions of the Witch Hunter. I'm going to go ahead and jump into leveling, and I will be updating y'all every time we get a new ability. Alright y'all, we just hit level 4, and we picked up the ability Vault. It is a 20 rage, instant cast, 2.5 second cooldown, surge forward up to 25 yards, regenerating 15% of your maximum mana. So this is part of the Witch Hunter's base movement toolkit. It's a easy spammable ability. It's just going to take a lot of rage. So luckily we're able to generate quite a lot through the use of our abilities. So this is definitely a huge pickup for the toolkit, especially when it comes to PvP. I will say that Vault actually feels really nice. The cooldown is low, and even though it does cost 20 rage, it's incredibly easy to just run and continually build rage on mobs as you run past them. And it's a really effective way of moving around the map, especially early on when you don't have access to your mount. So we just hit level 5 and picked up Fury Shot. It is a 15 rage instant cast, 3 second cooldown, deals 150% weapon damage to the target, and regenerates 10% of your maximum mana. This ability drains up to 0 rage from the target. That's just a tooltip bug due to it being an alpha. So let's see what this ability looks like really quick. Just gonna build a couple hits of rage. Now that we have the rage that we need, we can go ahead and use the shot. As of right now, it's not doing too much damage. Seems to do about the same as our Coiling Shot, but that'll improve whenever we get better weapons, considering it's based on the weapon damage. So we just hit level 7 and picked up Punishing Bolt. It's a 12 mana instant cast, 2.5 second cooldown, fires a crossbow bolt at an enemy target, dealing 200% weapon damage and generating 15 rage. Your next Saber Slash within 6 seconds of this ability will always critical strike. Can only be used within 2 seconds of Coiling Shot. So what this ability tells me is that later on in the game, Witch Hunter is going to have a real heavy emphasis on constantly swapping between your ranged abilities and your melee abilities, because it's looking like they're going to be benefiting off of each other, which the playstyle is already feeling good with swapping between melee and range. At first I thought it was going to be a bit cumbersome, but it definitely gives a fast-paced feel to the class that I really like. So definitely looking forward to getting these later levels and seeing what else the class has in store for us. Alright, we're making a quick pit stop here at Eastvale Logging Camp. For anyone that didn't know, currently on the alpha, you can actually get your mount training at level 1 for 3 gold and 80 silver from just your normal faction mount trainer. So we can pick that up and then use the vanity mount that comes with a bundle, or any vanity mount that you have. And we get mount access here at level 8, whereas normally in Wrath of the Lich King, you wouldn't get it till 20 or 30. If you don't have any vanity mounts, you can come over here to the regular mount vendor. It's just expensive, 9 gold 50, so I don't typically like paying that much, which is why I just use the vanity mount. Alright, so we just hit level 10, and we picked up Dawn Blade. It's a 30 rage, instant cast, 7-second cooldown melee ability. Deals 250% weapon damage to an enemy and generates 8% of your maximum mana. This ability grants Purity. Purity is a part of the built-in passive that Witch Hunters have when swapping between their weapons. It causes your melee auto attacks to add 1 stack of Sensed Evil to the enemy, and then those stacks will be consumed when you're affected by Wickedness, which I'm assuming we'll get in a later ability. I will say that the early leveling experience on Witch Hunter is really nice. I was able to put all of my abilities in like one cast sequence macro, and so I'm able to just sit here and run between mob to mob, clicking one button, and there's really no downtime. And the way the abilities work is you generate enough rage and mana to where you never really have to stop unless you have to stop and heal. So definitely one of the faster levelers and questers early on. I'll put the macro down in the description, that way if anyone wants to use it, they can just copy and paste it into their game. Alright, so we just hit level 13 and we picked up the ability Vicious Mockery. It's actually a taunt on a 12-second cooldown that causes your target to attack you for 6 seconds. And it looks like if we're affected by Wickedness, it will also do a bit of damage. So it's looking like Inquisitor may have some sort of a tank spec that we'll be able to use later on. But we don't have access to enough abilities to really tell at this point. So we'll just have to see how it goes as we get higher level. Alright guys, we just hit level 15. And I don't know if this is intended, but we actually learned normal auto shot, you know, just like the regular bow attack. And we are able to use the rest of our abilities while it's equipped. So I don't know if that's something that they're planning on taking out. I'm assuming it's just a bug and we're not supposed to have it, but maybe we are, and it's going to let you build more of an emphasis on a range spec, but we'll just have to see. So level 15, we should get our next major ability at 16. So I'll see y'all then. Okay, so we just hit level 16 and we picked up the ability Vampiric Blade. It is another melee ability, 30 range, 7-second cooldown, deals 100% weapon damage and siphons health from your target as shadow damage. This ability grants Wickedness. So this ability looks like the direct counterpart to Dawn Blade. Dawn Blade is another 7-second cooldown and it grants Purity. So the fact that this gives us Wickedness is going to let us benefit from the other half of our passive, as we mentioned earlier. The level 19 ability that we're going to be getting is Cleansing Aura. It's a 1-minute cooldown that allows you to emanate a cleansing aura for 20 seconds, making all allies within 15 yards immune to curse and disease effects. In addition, affected allies will take 25% reduced shadow, frost, and nature damage for the duration. This spell is going to be a very valuable ability to have later in the game, specifically because a lot of the late game vanilla raids, such as Naxxramas and Encourage, all deal with these types of spell damage. Our level 22 ability is Draining Bolt. It costs 114 mana, instant cast, 4-second cooldown, and it fires a crossbow bolt at an enemy target, dealing 62 to 66 shadow damage, generating 10 rage, instantly healing you for 10% of your maximum health, and leeching 39 to 41 health every 1 second for 10 seconds. Can only be used within 2 seconds of Coiling shot. This ability provides the Witch Hunter with a very large amount of sustain, specifically out in the open world. The mana cost on the ability is pretty intense, but if you manage the rest of your abilities right, you should be able to generate enough mana to keep it going and never really need to worry about anything. Alright, so we were doing some stockades runs for XP, and we wound up picking up our level 25 ability, Fiery Judgement. It's a 30 rage, instant cast, 20-second cooldown, ignite yourself, causing your next Saber slash within 10 seconds to deal bonus fire damage. This ability is pretty simple. It added like an extra 150 damage, so I feel like it could be more powerful. Other than adding a slight bit of burst to your Saber Slash to make it hit a little harder, it doesn't really do too much else for you, so curious to see what else we can do with this ability later on. Alright guys, so we just finished up some stockades runs, and we wound up hitting level 28 and picking up our new ability, Hunt. It's a 10 to 40 yard range ability, instant cast, 20-second cooldown, leap to the target location, and gain a 35% increase to your movement speed for 6 seconds. While this effect is active, your next Saber, Slash, or Wrangle will root the target in place for 5 seconds. So this ability is a really nice bonus to the Witch Hunter movement toolkit, which, to be honest, is already pretty strong compared to everyone else. You do have to be in your melee stance to use this, but this is going to be a really nice addition for PvP when you're trying to chase down enemy flag carriers. Alright guys, so we're jumping into a little bit of PvP to finish off the leveling. I typically like to jump into BGs once I hit level 28, just because it only takes a few BGs if you win to hit level 30, and it gives you a nice opportunity to really test out the class.
Mages, I lived in two-shot breeze. When I see ya, I'll PvP ya. Spanking news, that's my favorite cheese. Rogues, do it in the darkness. Rogues, do it where the sun don't shine. Rogues, with a little drop of poison. Rogues, do it from behind. Yeah. Gonna creep inside your back door. Yeah, well I wear blood-fang leather, bone scythe and nether blade. Chop, chop the level 7 warlock, gonna take him out with magician blade. Rogue, do it in the darkness. Rogue, do it where the sun don't shine. Rogue with a little drop of poison. Rogues do it from behind, yeah. Not your everyday type pranks to call me Ice-T, original gangster. From the coast of west fall to black fathom deep. Silent I hunt show, silent I will creep. Gliding through the depths, gliding to your death. Upon the shores I rise, hold my flippers to the sky. I am more than a fish. I am more than a man. Death will rise from the tide. I am Murloc. I am king of the sea. But I'm not Aquaman. Death will rise. Hear our cry. I am Murloc. Hunter of the tide, lie, will let your life born, your fallen brave, sleep in our sunken grave. Feel the deadly pin, my nets drag you in, blood-stained sand and gore, law that's left upon the shore. I am more than a fish. I am more than a man. Death will rise from the tide. Oh yeah, I am Murloc. I am king of the sea. But I'm not Aquaman. Death will rise. Hear our cry. I am Murloc. Yeah. Empty eyes, never blinking, armored and scaled, but never sinking. Puzzle jumper, the coaster runner, call me the tide hunter. Raise your flippers to the sky. I am more than a fish. I am more than a man. Death will rise from the tide. I am Murloc. I am king of the sea. Not a queen like Aquaman. Death will rise. Hear our cry. I am Murloc. I am death.
Alright guys, so we just finished up our BGs and we did hit level 30. The level 30 ability that we picked up is called Repeater. It's a 30-yard range, instant cast, 1 minute cooldown. Fire crossbow bolts at the target enemy every 1 second for 10 seconds. This ability is not channeled and you are able to use other abilities while it is active. Here's what the ability looks like against a target dummy. You just turn it on and then you'll sit there and every 1 second you'll shoot an additional shot at them. Alright, so overall impressions of the Witch Hunter. Early on, they're extremely good. They're one of the fastest questers. Unfortunately, they can't solo dungeons like a bunch of the other classes, so the overall leveling experience did take quite a bit longer. In PvP, if you're running the normal agility spec, you're actually fairly weak. However, in those last few battlegrounds that I ran, especially in the Out of the Storm, I was running the Intellect Spell Power build, which is currently the meta for Witch Hunter, because your abilities like Draining Bolt deal shadow damage, so by stacking spell power you increase the dot damage and increase the healing that you receive from it. Putting all these together allows you to easily 1v3 or even 1v4 people as long as you kite them enough with your mobility. Alright guys, that wraps up the 1 to 30 Witch Hunter class showcase. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell, that way you'll know when I post my next video. This is your host Rabbit, and thanks for watching.